Thank you for joining Wars of the Roses as we continue with Part 6, The One Who Turned Back from the Ways of the Lonely Ones by Manly P. Hall. At the same instant, a bolt of glory descended from the brooding form and entered the soul of the new master. Again, the voice of the Lord spoke, but this time from within. The one who turned back. Notwithstanding the apparent fact that humanity changes but little, there are great moments when the world really does grow better than it ever was before. One of these moments is when one of its children ceases to be labored for and becomes in turn one of the laborers in the vineyard of humanity. In each age through which the earth passes, there are a few who win immortality. There are one or two in each great civilization who rise to the fuller requirements of life and learn so well the lessons which confront them that they are capable of becoming a power for the unfoldment of men. There are some who discover, with their own self-evolved qualities and faculties, their true reason for being. There are a few who, gathering around them the shining garments of a purified soul, pass behind the veil that separates the gods from men, to come forth on the great wheel no more. From a civilization that has since passed into darkness, there rose one who had suffered much, who had toiled long, had felt the anguish of the world, had seen the uselessness of mortal glory, who had performed the great work and climbed the lofty heights, seeking eternally to draw others up to the realms of truth. He was a marvelous philosopher who still knew how to pray, a divine scientist with the gentle touch of the simple man. This beautiful soul now stands at the gates of gold, robed in the garments of a purified being, radiant in the resplendent glory of the gods. The tinkling bells upon his garments play the music of a harmonious life. His form divine gleams with a million lights, each one of them a prayer of thanksgiving and a blessing from one of those with whom he had labored faithfully and well. Before the footstool of the gods stands the Master. He was one out of the world of men, one who had found, and for ages walked, the path of selflessness, at least after the eternities of preparation and experience in the world of things. This one had earned the right to knock at the door of immortality. Leading upward to the skies, golden stairs rose from star to star. Behind it, the darkness of the world's eternal night, the uncertainty of man, which for the Master had given place to the glory of the eternal sunrise. There comes a time in the life of every living thing when it will stand as this soul stood, on the borderland between the human and the divine. Countless numbers have stood there, and with that great and glorious sorrow have seen release before them. But with all truly great souls have felt the pangs of longing and could not bear to leave the world behind. There is a moment when the candidate realizes that immortality indeed has its price, and when the day draws near for him to pass forever behind the veil, he understands that it is harder to give up the world and his labors for his brother man in meekness and humility than it is to go on to the greater life eternal. For once the soul puts on its robe of glory and takes that immortal step, the initiate is no longer of the world. Between him and the hearts of men must always remain the blue veil of the gods. He may walk again with them, may labor side by side with others, but always he knows and they feel that he is not of their world. Therefore the initiate was not joyous when he saw his father's house before him, for he knew that the day was drawing near when he was to become a pillar in the house of his God and to go out no more. As he stood there, a shining presence came to him, garbed in the gleaming vestments of eternal light, and taking him by the hand said, "You have walked well the way. You have fulfilled the destiny of the recording angels. The book of your works is closed. The accounts are balanced, and the seal of completion, bearing upon it the signet of the gods, is placed upon your life. You have now finished this chapter of your being. Before you, up that twisting stairway, lie new worlds to conquer, new duties, new sorrows, and a fuller understanding. Already you have risen from the night of human darkness to the greater light, and the garments of compassion fashioned by your selfless soul await you. Come forward when you will don them. But first there are things that you should see, that you may justly know the choice that you would make. Follow me." The shining guide turned, and taking the newborn master by the arm, led him to the top of a lofty mountain. Before him the heavens and the earth unrolled. Hovering over creation were a million lights, and the flutter of the wings of flame made incessant music with the resounding cadences of revolving spheres. Above, in the land of light, were the habitations of the immortals, the homes of the sainted souls. As the newborn master gazed with the eye of immortality, he saw floating in the skies the great beings whom man knows only as suns and stars. He saw great Saturn with its spreading wings and the misty robes of ether that clothe forms celestial. The shining face of Mars gleamed with seraphic radiance. The ponderous marching orbs were no longer things of form, but life and light divine. He saw the 12 hierarchies of the heavens, the flaming sons of the dawn, while the ministering angels, fluttering like great night birds, hung between heaven and earth, wielding dominion. He saw a world unknown to men unroll before him, and he gazed out in awe and admiration. "Yet indeed," answered the Shining One to the question that filled his soul, "your labors have only begun. For when you have finished in the world you leave behind, you have merely earned the right to toil in the realms of light. In this great plan there is no rest, no release. As you have climbed from the darkness of terrestrial night, so through the eternity of cosmos, now you mount onward, until somewhere behind the eternal plan you find the source of all, the glorious planner of creation, from whom none will ever return to tell the way." The master looked about him and thought how different the world seemed than when he had stood below and gazed up at it. Instead of the apparent senseless happening of things, he now saw the wondrous causes, the intelligent reasons for everything that was. "If mankind only knew," he whispered, "could only see the things I now behold." "Yes," answered the Shining One. "Someday they will know. Someday they will realize the wondrous chain of selfless lives that binds creation in a common cause, the wondrous plan of mind divine that struggles to free itself from the senseless clay of chaos." The guide turned again. "Come," he said, "there are other things I would have you know." The master found himself now in the darkness of the night. He had crossed the single line dividing the false from the true. While he stood talking to his guide, a soft sob broke the silence. "What is that?" he whispered. "That," answered the guide, "is the call of the world you are leaving behind. It is the voice speaking from the broken heart of mankind, crying to the gods above to send them light and truth." Low moanings broke the silence. Weeping and now and then a curse filled the air with anguish unutterable. "What is this?" whispered the master. "This," answered the guide, "is the desert of darkened souls. This is the battle held of human emotion, and on this broken ground lie in agony those who could not endure the fight, cursing their gods, praying to the beings who brought them into existence to give them darkness eternal, that at least they may lose the sense of suffering." The master covered his face with his hands, and the tears rolled down his own cheeks as he thought of the years of his own wretchedness, when his voice had been added to those who pray through the darkness to the light they cannot see. Again the shining guide took the master's hand and led him once more to the mountaintop. "Now you shall choose the time and the place. Before you stretches the work of the gods, the path that you have earned, and great labors to be performed. The shining robe of glory is here for you to don, and the peace that passes human understanding will guide you in your wanderings among the stars. Behind you lies the path that you have trod, the broken cries of agony which you have earned the right to hear no more. Here upon the threshold now shall you name the way you wish to go." The master stood, his eyes turned upward toward the light which he had served so long in darkness, and whose heavenly gleam he had so often prayed to behold. Longingly he sought to spread his wings and fly straight to its source. His soul longed to be bathed eternally in its glory, and to climb the steps to the light that shines behind each star. Still gazing upward, he felt fingers pulling at his heartstrings, feeble hands reaching up from below. He heard the prayers of the suffering, and a great chorus of voices united in prayer called unto him. He stood uncertain, undecided as to the way he should go. He saw the powers of light shining down upon him, majestic faces framed in light divine. When he turned his glance downward into the gloom, he looked into eyes blinded with sorrow, into the hearts broken with despair, into hands red with blood. At last he turned again to the Shining One, his face strong with a divine resolve. Quickly he stripped from his being the robe of light and donned again the garments of the world. "I cannot go on," he cried, his voice choked with tears. "Others must do that. The voices that whisper in the darkness below call unto my soul. Hands weak with suffering are clutching feebly at my heart. I must go back to work again and give to them the little hope that I have found. Others must be found to wear the golden robes. I shall return to the garments of mortality." And turning to his guide, he said, "Brother, lead me again into the shadows I have left. Break again the seals of the book that was completed, for I am going back to the despairing ones left behind." And without another word, he who might have been a master turned and walked softly down the path that led into darkness. Looking back, he saw the Shining One standing alone on a pinnacle of rock, his hands clasped in prayer. Slowly the glorious light faded from the heavens, the sound of fluttering wings ceased, and the music of the spheres changed to the broken notes of human discord. At last the final gleam from the mountain vanished in the night. The soul again stood in the muck and mire of earth. While he stood there, the darkness parted. A shaft of golden sunbeams shone from the heavens above, and a great form with spreading wings seemed to obscure the very heavens and to extend unto the end of the firmament. The glorious presence spoke, while he who might have been a master bowed before him, raising hands dark with the stains of the world. The voice from the shadow welled forth in thunderous tones, "All ye angels of the heavens rejoice, all ye powers of creation rejoice, ye heaven-born sons of the eternal rejoice, for from the clay of earth there hath been fashioned another soul immortal. From now on the earth that ye mold shall not cling to thee, and though thou walkest through the valley of the shadow, thou shalt be in the light, and my staff shall comfort thee. All ye hosts of eternal day, acclaim thy brother. All ye spiritual powers of the universe, behold one who is to serve with thee. For there be none greater in all the world than he who giveth his life for his friends, and none greater than he who counts as his friends the children of earth. Mark ye all who live in the seven heavens, this is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased." At the same instant, a bolt of glory descended from the heavens and entered the soul of the new master, and the voice of the Lord spoke, saying, "Behold, I take up my dwelling in the temple of my children. I find one who hath built his dwelling place according to the law. I have found a brother among my sons, and I, the living Father, have returned to the world with him who is joyous in his labors. He hath turned back and hath been found worthy, and I, the living God, have turned back with him to labor hand in hand for the glory of the light we both shall serve." Thank you for watching, and please don't forget to share, like, subscribe, and comment. And if you can, please consider donating to Wars of the Roses. Links to PayPal and Patreon are in the description. Thank you so very much.